Talktainment Radio, worldwide sound. Talktainmentradio.com. We give you a reason to come. The world's greatest radio. We give you a reason to stay. Radio, the way it should be heard. You got the power.
The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guest and not necessarily those of TalkTainmentRadio.com, the management, the staff, or K&E World Network, LLC.
Live call-in talk show. Dial 1-877-932-9766 and join the conversation here on TalkTainmentRadio.com.
This is the voice of Deliverance. 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 Behold the power, the power, the power. Heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com. Radio, the way it should be heard. I'm Dr. K. Robinson.
Talktainment Radio, we go where you go. We go where you go. I love it because you can get us on the phone, we can get us on YouTube, you can get it on your computer, the world's greatest radio. You're in touch with the voice of Deliverance, and I am Dr. K. Robinson. And this is radio, the way it should be heard. Call in 1-877-932-9766. Call in today, 1-877-932-9766. Ask any question and we'll do everything we can to answer you. Our show today is featured with LOYOLA. Her last name is LOYOLA, but her first name is GAIL. And she is a minister, but she's also one of Ohio's greatest drug counselors and foster parents. She's had a long history of this, and we want to welcome her to Talktainment. We want to welcome her to the voice of Deliverance, because that's exactly what she is. For those that are in trouble and they need help, you can call in and ask any direction that you need to know, and she can help you today. She's a licensed, and she's been licensed by Ohio, and she is still active. She just had a interview today to come back to work for the state. Isn't that something? She's a retired lady. Hi, Gail.
Hello. How are you?
You know, I'm better than good. She my buddy. You know what I'm saying? But I do believe that the divine creator, the Lord God Almighty, put us together for such a time as this, to work with you out there. For those that need help, you need somebody to reach out to, we're here for you. And we have a subject today that is very, very cutting edge in our environment on a daily basis, and that's foster care and drug dependency. She is a CDCA. That's what? CD. That is a what?
Chemical dependency counselor.
Wow. She's somebody you can talk to. Everybody needs somebody to talk to. And she can talk to you about things that she has learned and she has studied at the Christian Ohio school. And she's a graduate and worked for how many years?
I've been in this field, drug addiction, for about 5 years now.
5 years. Okay. And before then?
And before then, I was, I actually did asset development. So I have a little bit of everything. And then I spent almost 15 years on heavy highway working construction. So what do you need?
Woo!
You need a sidewalk.
She gonna give you a sidewalk. She gonna give you counseling about your drugs. She gonna set you up, fix you up today. I like broad-based women who have done more than one thing, because you have a lot of experience when you do things like that. So we thank her for coming, and we're going to ask her some questions more and more because of the drug condition in our nation and in our world. We are having to move our children into foster care. And this is an ongoing, growing population and need of and the care of children that we are so concerned about. And so as she is being called back in to take another job to help this environment and all of the conditions that are going on in every family, we're real glad that she's here to kind of open up our understanding of how great the need is for this. And I want her to just share with you some of the work that she has done in foster care.
Yeah, I had a discussion with my granddaughter right before I came over here today. She asked me about my job interview that I had this morning. And I said, you know, I don't know if I really want to go back to work. And so I just want to let the Lord lead me on this one, because I have enjoyed not having to get out of bed until noon if I don't want to. And, you know, it's been nice. Retirement is not all that bad. But, yes, I am a CDCA, which is a chemical dependent counselor. I'm licensed by the state of Ohio. And the way I got into this was I myself was in foster care in 1968. I went into foster care. And I went there basically because my mother was a heroin addict. Heroin's big, has come back around, okay? My mother was a heroin addict, and my dad was an alcoholic. And my siblings and I ended up in the foster care. And that road is kind of long, so we might not get into that road today. But we can get into that road another time if you wish. That's a fabulous testimony.
Exposure. All right.
Fabulous testimony.
Well, you can come back.
Okay. Just invited myself. But anyway, when I was about in my 30s and I realized that young people were being aged out of foster care almost exactly the way that I was aged out of foster care in the early 70s, in 1970, which was basically you turn 18 and they may or may not find you an apartment. They found me one at the Y, the Women's Y downtown, and then they tell you goodbye and have a nice life.
Okay.
That's about it. That's the aging out process. The state of Ohio has since, because when I was in my 30s, I began an agency called Young Adult Community Development, and we mentored several young people. Right, almost from the moment we opened up the doors, we had like 50 people.
50 people in a house?
No, they would come to the program. We are mentors. We don't have any place to live. Anybody out there have property they would like to talk to me about maybe renting or maybe offering it, however the Lord leads you. We could use.
Wait a minute. Are you going to do this again? You going to open up a house again?
Yeah, we need to.
Well, I know we need it.
We need housing. We need housing. The month of May is actually foster care, National Foster Care Awareness Month. And that was started by Ronald Reagan in 1988. Basically because on any given day in our nation, we have 408,000 young people in foster care. And each year, approximately 30,000 of them actually age out of foster care, which means they need jobs, they need housing.
All right.
They are going to be in need of medical care.
Right.
Anything that your child living at your home is in need of, they are going to be in need of. So Ronald Reagan began the National Foster Care Awareness Month. It is now 2018. And the numbers have not gotten any better.
Oh, no.
And we still have young people that need those things. They need housing. They need mentors. They need people who will love them, hold them, and care for them. Just because you're 18 doesn't mean you're an adult. My granddaughter will be 18. I know she's going to kill me when I get home. She will be 18 this August, and she's always talking about when she turns 18, when she turns 18.
Yeah.
And she was standing in my doorway last night, and I said, you are aware that when you turn 18, the only thing that you can legally do is to sign up for the armed services and go and serve your country. That's all you can do. You can't buy cigarettes. You can't buy alcohol. I'm not even too sure if anybody will allow you to sign a lease. So
she's not 21, she's 18, right?
Right, she's 18.
Okay.
But that's the problem. These young people aging out of foster care are 18 years old.
Oh, man, they need to balance that out a little better.
Yes. Now, the state of Ohio, I will give it to them, the state of Ohio has stepped up. Franklin County has really stepped up to try to do some things. But, you know, funding is limited. These are considered able-bodied adults. Another problem that they have is when they try to get utilities turned on, they find out, because, you know, when you're born now, you get a Social Security number. Remember when we were born, you didn't get one until you went down and applied to get a number.
That's right.
Well, you get one when you're born. So guess who knows your Social Security number when you're born? Your parents, that are the reason why you are in foster care. So because of that, they have used your Social Security number to order utilities, to order cable, all of those kinds of things. And so therefore, when you age out of foster care and you try to establish yourself, I've had to go with many of them to get their credit repaired. To make the argument that this child was 2 years old when this account was open. Surely you do not expect that they were the person that was sitting in front of you trying to get cable.
Excuse me, why did the state do that?
Why did the state do what?
Give them a Social Security at
Well, that's the federal. The government changed the rules that everybody had to have a Social Security number within so many days after you're born, or a month or two. I don't know exactly when. But I do know when my son was born, I had to get his Social Security number shortly after he was born.
Okay, but didn't they know that the parents were going to use that for financial reasons and conditions and all of that? I mean, I've had other families who use their children's Social Security number to take out insurance or set up financial accounts and all of that type of thing. Why didn't they see that?
I don't know. I have absolutely no clue. Maybe they thought that these were admirable people. I don't know. Okay? I have no clue what the government thinks of when it does things. It's doing things today that I don't quite understand. I just pray.
Okay.
So, you know, so that's usually where they start. They start in the hole. Number one, they're usually a couple of years behind in education. So you may be 18, but you may only have completed the 10th grade. You know, when you're taken out of your home and you're placed somewhere else, and if you're placed at several different places, every time you are placed, you literally go back a year, okay? Because you have to start at a new school. They want to test you and see where you are in math,
right,
see where you are in reading. And you may not be up to their standards because you went to school B and they are school A, and then they put you back another year. And your entire life is going backwards, backwards, backwards. And then when it's time for you to turn 18, you're not ready. You're absolutely not ready.
I'm sure the basic public does not know anything of this information. This is the first time I've ever heard it. You know what I'm saying? And that is really putting your children at risk, setting them behind every time they move. And most parents are moving around a lot because, you know, they go in and pay 2 months rent to get in, and then they don't pay anymore, get thrown out, and they got to find another place.
Right.
Right? And that affects our children. We need to cover our children more graciously, more caringly, because it's terrible to start behind. It
is. It really is. And when it isn't your fault, when it is another person's fault,
right,
there's nothing you can do about it.
That's right.
You know, you are an adolescent. You are at their disposal. You can't.
Right.
You have no other choice, basically, in that area. So when the young person ages out of foster care, they a lot of times they suffer from anxiety because they have no clue to what to do next. Now, to pair that with myself, when I go to speak to people, I always throw my own testimony in here, and especially here when it came time to leave foster care. My grandmother played a big part in my life, and so did Elder Hardy from Church of Christ.
Okay.
And if it had not have been for those two people, I am not ashamed to say that I would have been a lost ball in high weed. The week before I was supposed to move into my new apartment that I had never seen before, and they told me I was moving into the Y, and I didn't even know what the Y was, I asked to go speak to Elder Hardy. I thought I was having a nervous breakdown, so I asked to speak to a professional counselor, and they couldn't get me in. And I said, well, I need for you to call Elder Hardy. He will see me now. And they called him, my caseworker did, and I got in to see him the very next day. And I sat in Elder Hardy's office, and I cried, for I know a good part of an hour, 45 minutes at the very least. I just cried.
Mm-hmm.
I had so much anxiety built up. I did not know what was going to happen. I was like, where was I going to get dinner?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What was I going to do? And Elder Hardy just, he sat there with me, he prayed with me, he let me talk, and he let me cry. He just held a box of Kleenex up at me, and I just cried. And believe it or not, that did a lot for me. He didn't try to fix it, that did a lot for me. I was able to get that out. People a lot of times don't want to sit and listen to you when you're going through an anxiety attack. They want to hurry up and move you on along.
Right.
And Elder Hardy was, if any of you have never known Elder Hardy, he was always so patient. And he sat there with me, and then we prayed, and then I left. And I felt much better. I felt like I can move forward. I can do this, I'm going to be okay. And that's how I handled my next few steps. Yes, I am going to be okay. And it was so funny. The very next Monday, when I started out my week, I worked at Children's Hospital, and I was on my way to work, and I found myself walking up to the paper dispenser. Remember, they used to have those dispatch paper dispensers? I walked, no, it was the Journal. It was the Citizen Journal, because it was in the morning. I walked up to the paper dispenser, and I got me a journal, and then I got on the bus, which wasn't called CODA then, it was called something else. And I got on the bus, and I paid my 35 cents. Yes, bus fare was 35 cents.
Mm-hmm.
And I took the bus to work, and I read my paper. And the reason why that stuck in my brain was that I had watched my grandmother do that for years. She would drive up to the paper dispenser, and she would give me the money, and I would get out and get her paper and give it to her, and she would read it on her coffee break at work. So
now let me say
that
this.
was normal.
Let me say this.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm listening to when I'm listening to you,
yes,
I'm listening how important the people are in your life when you're a child and you are growing up.
Yes.
Because you're learning from everybody that is around you.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting the encouragement with your grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
You did exactly what she did.
Mm-hmm.
She got out and got her a paper. She made you get out and get her a paper as a child. Then, and when you grew up, you got out and got yourself a paper and read the paper.
Right.
We live by example. Am I right?
Exactly.
All right, go ahead.
Exactly. So, after that point, after I had been living at the Y for a while, and I had saved up some money, my grandmother, with her sly self, had begun what we now call is family reunification. She would get my mother and I at the same table. She would get my mother and I in the same room. Sometimes having the two of us in the same room was like having two female pit bulls. So if you've ever had pit bulls, you know what that is. And I remember one time we had a really bad string of spats. I mean, it wasn't just like one. It was just like this, and then there was that, and there was this, and then there was that. And my grandmother came to me And I knew she was coming. The Lord had let me know when I laid down to take a nap that Mama was coming.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandmother had always told me, she said, when somebody is coming to you to give you a message, the Lord will let you know that they are coming.
Mm-hmm.
She said, because He's preparing you to be able to accept it.
Right.
And I was still asleep, but I could hear her voice. I could hear her calling, Gail, Gail. And I woke up, and she sat down on the edge of the bed, and she began to explain to me that, you know, I was saved. I knew I was saved, but I wasn't acting very saved. And she said, "You're going to have to let this go."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Yeah, but she owes me an apology." And she says, "Well, she may not feel that she owes you an apology." And I knew then that I wasn't ever going to get an apology, and even if she had apologized for what had happened, it was never going to fill that gulf that I had going on. It was never going to happen. And I, at that moment, got her out of bed, and I forgave myself, I forgave my mom, I forgave everybody, and I just moved on. And we never had another fight, because I was always the one starting it. And we never, I mean, we argued sometimes, but it was never like the pit bull thing, you know. She liked the Browns. I couldn't understand why she was so devoted to the Browns every Sunday, every year, and they would lose. So, you know, it was that kind of thing. Her and I, you know, we didn't see eye to eye on too many things. But yet and still, you know, that's one of the things. If you are in foster care and you are mad at the world, and I understand that. I really do. I understand that.
All right.
But I need for you to give it up.
Ooh.
I need for you to pray and ask the Lord to heal you and to give that up. I have had the most fabulous life, okay? I am not rich by no stretch of anybody's imagination, okay? And I'm not all that well educated, okay? My education comes from a whole lot of piece over here and a piece over there, and what I can afford to take over here and what I can take for free over there, okay? But I have had the most wonderful life. I have people around me that love me. That's another thing. You need to build a community around you of people that you feel safe with, okay? If you're, I don't know why I feel like I need to say this, but I need to say this to the women that are living with men that are not treating them well. If your name is not on the lease, girlfriend, you are homeless. So I need for you to get up and go get your own life, get your own lease, get your own place. It doesn't have to be beautifully furnished. You can have absolutely no furniture. Just get you a pillow and a blanket and make you a pallet on the floor. But when you lock that door at night, there's nobody there to harass you, to mean you, or make you feel bad. Okay? And those, once you get those things up underneath your underneath your girth, and you get a relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ, you'll be surprised of how well you will feel. The joy speaks in the Bible speaks about joy unspeakable, and full of glory. Now, I have not always walked with the Lord. There's a period in my life from about 25 to 35 that is not good. It's not good. But I walked away from it. Totally walked away from it. And that's the reason why I can say if your name is not on the lease, you are homeless. And for you, you need to get out of that.
We're going to take a break right here. And Think about that. But in the meantime, TalkTainmentRadio.com is 24/7, no charge, worldwide broadcasting facility with hosts delivering on various topics such as news, lifestyle, sports, law, health, wellness, religion, politics. Here's several shows I'd like to share with you. And super cool. Kahari and Ahero, Friday and Saturday. Yes, Real Men, Pastor Banks, Monday, 7 o'clock, 7 p.m. And Pastor O Speaks, which is Orlando W. Hawkins Brinkley, on Wednesday at 11 o'clock p.m. These are the talk show hosts that keep this radio station rolling with good information, religious news and politics and law, and testimonies like we're having today from GAIL. She has had a vast experience of being in foster care, of being placed with her grandchildren. I mean, her grandmother, now she's raising her grandson, right?
Right.
See that? It passes on. Thank God. Everybody praise God for grandparents, because if it wasn't for my grandmother, I would have been homeless or been in a foster care or whatever. But she stepped in and gave me the foundation of Kay Robinson. I'm just like my grandmother. I cook like her. I don't look like her. But in the meantime, my thoughts and my spirits are my grandmother. She's one of the strongest and the most positive and powerful women I've ever met. You can go to TalkTainmentRadio.com. Click on programs for scheduled times. Talktainment Radio, that's radio, the way it should be heard. This is Dr. K. Robinson, and you're on The Voice of Deliverance. And we have GAIL LOYOLA. Yes, sir. I'm going to learn to say that before the show is over. I don't know where she got that name. She said she's Spanish and Mexican. Mixed. But in the meantime, she's over here with me and our black sister, yes. Because foster care has no color. Poverty has no color. And most of us have walked the same path and walked in her shoes. And we need to hear whatever her testimony is today, because she's saying she's had the most beautiful life. The thing that really impacted me was how she was surrounded with positive, loving people. Can we find those people today? GAIL, answer me. Are there people like that today?
Yes, there are. I have talked with a number of pastors, and we really, as people of faith, we really need to come together and surround these children.
Right.
Like I was mentioning earlier, you need to develop a community, and a community is your local library, where you can get an education, where you can get some free training if you need some free training, where you can get a job, where there is, where there is a food pantry in your area. And then also, more important, is a church. Now, when I say church, I mean of whatever faith you are, even if you're agnostic.
Well, we got to take a break here. We're going to take a station identification break. This is Dr. K. Robinson. Come on back and hear the rest of this testimony from my friend GAIL. She's going to surprise you when we get back. We'll be back in just a minute to talk about foster care and drug addiction.
I've got the water, energy bars, and camera. I think we're set for the hike.
Almost. We need to protect our skin. Don't forget your wide-brimmed hat and sunscreen.
All right. I've got the hat. I've got SPF 30. Will that work?
Yeah, anything 15 or higher is good. Just make sure it says broad spectrum.
Great. Got it. I am not getting burned again. Let's go.
Learn more at cdc.gov/cancer.
Robe is an intriguing, riveting, mysterious novel written on forgiveness by Renee Smith. Order your copy today at Barnes & Noble and Amazon.com. That's The Robe by Renee Smith.
For the best home fragrance and beauty products, shop Ash Kickin online.
That's ASHKICKIN.
Made with 100% natural quality ingredients and handcrafted with your family in mind, Ash Kickin' products are better than those other guys. Ash Kickin' candles, incense, body butter, face moisturizer, and hair moisturizer are priced just right, and you can get yours at 10% off with coupon code TALK17. Support this 100% black-owned business and get your home and body smelling and feeling all right.
That's ASHKICKIN.
Shop Ash Kickin' online at www.ashkickin.com.
Every year, June marks the beginning of two busy seasons, summer and wedding season. If you are legally changing your name, you need to apply for a replacement Social Security card reflecting your new name. This is easier to fix now when you first change your name than years from now when you retire. So go to our website at www.socialsecurity.gov/SS number or call us at 1-800-772-1213, TTY 1-800-325-0778 to find out what specific documents you need to change your name and apply for a replacement card.
If you or someone you know is abusing drugs and or alcohol and want to stop the abuse, contact APDS at 1409 East Livingston Avenue. Office hours are 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily and 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday. APDS is certified by the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services and primarily funded through the Adam H. Board. Fees are based on your income and Medicaid is always accepted. For more information, call 614-253-4448.
These are the sounds of someone taking their eyes off the road. Texting while driving is more than distracting. It's dangerous. Do yourself a favor. Do us all a favor. When you're on the road, stay off the phone. A message from CTIA, America's Wireless Companies, and the National Safety Council.
This is Al Edmondson, owner of a Cut Above the Rest barbershop. I'm calling on all barbers and beauticians. It's time for us to unite as one. We can serve our communities better together. Join the Ohio Black Barber Beauty Network. For more information, visit www.obbn.org or call 614-427-3226 to get more information. Be the change that you want to see in your community. Join our network.
Yes, check us out on 94.1. WGRN podcasts are available. Download TalkTainmentRadio.com apps to your cell or your tablet. That's radio the way it should go. And you can get us on YouTube right now if you want to. Talktainment Radio. YouTube, Talktainment Radio. Right as we speak to you. Stay right here with us because we're going to do the second part of The Voice of Deliverance. This is Dr. K. Robinson. Haven't gotten a phone call today yet, but in 1-877-932-9766. We have as our guest today, GAIL LOYOLA. She is a CDCA. You know what that is? That's a
Chemical dependency counselor.
Chemical dependency counselor. Real busy nowadays. This is the second one I've had on the program because we need a lot of you guys because we've got epidemic going on and it's need to be dealt with people that have the training in the background. So therefore we're so glad to have you because we know we're cutting edge on what's happening in our community and even in our world today. We find ourselves highly addicted to to opium and heroin, crack, etc. And it's totally frightening to me to see our young people wipe out their life with this. It makes a difference in your mind. It changes the chemical balance in your body. There are sicknesses that come after this addiction, even when you become free, delivered, when you are not taking drugs anymore. It leaves a indentation in your mind, in your brain, and in your body. And whatever you do, come off of it as quickly as you can, because many times, you know, it destroys your liver. It destroys, I've had liver replacements in my children, etc., and all of these things because of their drug addiction. Plus your bones deteriorate. I've had a son with hip replacement, knee replacement. It just isn't what you need to put in your body. You need to live healthy, eat healthy, and stay away from chemicals, okay? Chemicals will tear you up. We want to say hello and welcome again to you. We're so glad to have you today. She was talking about her life in foster care as a foster child. She had a great-grandmother who undergirded her, taught her the way that she should go, and stood with her. And what do you do when your parents just completely refuse to be responsible? She fell into good hands, and she's got some programs coming up. My pastor and her pastor, Bishop James Gator, he's a pastor on Grace Apostolic on Fairwood Avenue and Fairview Avenue. That's right off
Lakeview.
Lakeview.
It's at the corner of Cleveland and Lakeview Avenue.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't feel bad. One time in an interview, I forgot where Grace was too.
We go there. We're just there the other night.
We just go.
But I see him moving as a pastor who is interviewing and pulling boards together to interview housing and preparing for ex-cons who usually get out of prison and have nowhere to go, end up living on the street. And they say, well, how do you know that? I've been in prison ministry for 40 years. And when I ride down the streets of Columbus, I see some men that I have ministered to help them get themselves together. But when they get out, there's no provision. I do believe it is the church's responsibility.
Yeah, the getting out and having nowhere to go. That's a horrible situation. I knew a young man who came out of foster care, had nowhere to go, lived on the street for a while, and then finally he walked into a bank, he robbed it, and then he went out to the curb and he sat and he waited for the police to show up. And when they asked him why did he do that, he said it was getting cold and he had nowhere to go.
Right.
Now, that speaks sadly to all of us. We all know when our children grow up and they move out of our homes, they need certain things. Children in foster care are no different. They are going to need housing. All this housing that we're building downtown, I mean, you know, I love it. I love it. I love the fact that there are going to be people living downtown. I love the fact that downtown is coming back and it's not just a mall. But somebody just, somebody just getting out of high school cannot afford to live in any of those apartments unless you are a young girl or a young man who has settled for living with someone. And that is not a good situation, because you're not living with that person because you're in love. You're living with that person because they have a home, and it's their home. And at any moment, they can put you out if they feel like it. But one of the biggest causes of people being in foster care is drug and alcohol. And sometimes the parents, there are times when you almost feel like screaming, because the parents will drag out the foster care situation, because foster care was really only made for emergencies, okay? My parents are drug addicted. The state comes in and gets me, they put me in foster care. And then I should move on to either live with other relatives
or be put up for adoption. But what happens is that children hang out in foster cares because the parents keep throwing out this line of false hope that, oh, I'm going into rehab. I'm going to get better. I have to get better for my children. No, you are not going to get better getting better for your children. That is not going to happen. You have to do this for yourself.
Okay.
You have to make a decision. I need to be clean and live a prosperous life that way. And when I talk about prosperous, I'm not talking about Benny Hinn prosperous, okay? I'm talking about going to work every day, being able to pay your bills and your utilities. When I first decided that I was just through living with other men and I was just going to do things the way it was supposed to be done, the first month that I paid my rent and paid all my utilities, I was broke. I was the happiest person on my block. Everything was paid. I had no shut-off notice. And every time that happened, I began to celebrate just for myself. Yay, Gail. You know, because it's a good thing. It feels good. And it builds your self-esteem. So if you are not doing that for yourself, you can't do that for your children. You have to first do that for yourself. So children are hung out and hung out and hung out. And as Kay mentioned, I am now raising my grandchildren. I have my grandson is 14 and my granddaughter is 17. She'll soon be 18, as she keeps reminding me. And then she's still she'll be a senior next year, so she'll still be in school. I keep reminding her of that. So what happens here is that for a whole year, we kept going into court. And then finally, after a year, I said, and after about the fourth or fifth time of, I'm going to do rehab, I'm going to do rehab, I just stepped up to the judge and said, look, I don't know how much longer you guys are going to be able to do this. I said, but these children are getting older. My granddaughter will be graduating. My grandson will be going into high school. I need some permanency for them. I need to be able to do something for them, and right now I cannot do anything for them. I couldn't even move into, I had a 2-bedroom apartment. I had an apartment for somebody who was retired. I had retired, and I mean retired. I'd given away all of my pans and everything. I had little pans for single people. And so I told him, I said, I'm going to need to be able to do a few things. I need to be able to set up housekeeping for these children, but I cannot do it without some legal standing behind me because nobody's going to want to rent to me. Right. And so the judge agreed, and I have told their parents, you guys, you know, we get this moving along, we do family reunification, I will be the first one to go down to the courts. I'll pay for it. First one to go down to the courts and give you back custody of your children, because really, I'm really supposed to be in Hawaii right now, and I'm not there.
Nope.
My retirement plan was to travel through, take my 401k money that I had saved, and I was going to travel through Europe. And I was going to go to Spain so I could visit where my father's family came from. And then I was going to take a train up through France. And then I was going to go take the Channel over to the UK and visit all of my cities that I have and countries that I've read about that I want to see. And then I was going to take a plane to Hawaii. And I was going to live there. That's where my plane would stop. I had gone on a mission trip there several years ago. I had fallen in love with the people. I had fallen in love with the state. We had planted a few churches there, and I wanted to be part of that. But I'm in Columbus, Ohio. And it doesn't bother me because I love my grandchildren, so I will do whatever. But that is still on the plan. It's still on the wall. And I can't wait till the day when I can return these children to their families. They need that. They need that going forward. But I'm telling you, drug and alcohol addiction, foster care is a really poor parent.
Really?
It is. It separates families. My siblings and I were in foster care together. Okay, we all lived in the same house until I was in the 7th grade, which meant that my siblings, who are several years younger than me, were all still in elementary school. And they were placed in different houses than I was because I was older. And so during that time, when we should have been becoming friends, you know, our first dates, okay, having friends over for sleepovers, you know, doing all of those kinds of things that siblings do, the three of us never got the opportunity to do them. And so when we meet up, it's almost like three strangers in the room for a moment, you know, until we can kind of work our way through the awkwardness. It's almost like an awkward silence between the three of us because we really don't know each other. We can see the resemblance, but we don't really know each other.
I have a question that has come in before me, and the question is, why are people drug addicted and addicted to alcohol? Why do they become addicts?
Okay, the thing of it is that we don't know who's going to become the addict. Okay, some of us can drink a glass of wine or half a glass of wine and everything is okay. Have it with our dinner and everything's okay. There's that odd person that can take a drink and never put it down. They have to drink it time after time after time after time. You don't know who that person is, and if that is not you, you need to thank Jesus, because I'm going to tell you, it could just as easily been you or me. That's the same thing with drugs, okay? They use opioids for pain in the hospital. And it is a great pain manager, because I'm going to tell you, you have some serious surgery, you have a knee replacement, they break your bones or whatever, and you are in excruciating pain. And that opioid will come in there and soothe and make that pain go away. The problem is, are you the person that will become addicted to that opioid or not? And we don't know if that's going to be you or me.
But the majority of people that take that, ingest that, ended up getting addicted to it.
Right. And, but we just don't. And I'm not really convinced that it's the majority. Okay? But you just don't know. You have absolutely no idea. I remember when I was younger. Remember Black Beauties? I know young people are going, what is she talking about? Black Beauties, that's what we gave the street name, but it was actually a pill that women, mostly women, some men took. Women took, they got it from their doctors to control your weight.
Oh, okay.
Okay? And I took it, and I didn't like the way it made me feel, and I stopped. I have a cousin who took it and never stopped.
All right.
Okay? You just have no idea. And I think it has to do with your I don't know. I'm not a doctor. A lot of this has to do with the way that it affects your brain and what have you. I do know that like the majority of the population does not have mental health issues.
Right.
But everybody who is addicted has a mental health issue.
Right. Whoa,
So
wait a minute.
Yeah.
You said something. Back up. Say that again.
Everybody who is addicted has a mental health issue. They
How
didn't have
do you
one.
know that? They did not have one. I know, I was shocked when I found that out. They did not have one before they became addicted. Okay?
Okay.
So the question is this, because some mental health issues can lie dormant, and not until you get into a situation does anxiety start building up. Okay? PTSD is a mental health. You've gone your entire life without any PTSD. You're in a situation where you see a violent act. Okay? And there you are. You're suffering with PTSD. And it can be as simple as that. And that's the reason why a lot of young children, parents who drug and alcohol, there's a lot of violence in the house. When they get out of that situation, they end up in the counseling because they suffer from one of three things, if not a combination of them. And that would be anxiety, depression, and PTSD.
On PTSD, I'm going to take this break. TalkTameItRadio.com. We go where you go. Download TalkTameItRadio.com app to your cell phone or tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. This is Dr. K. Robinson, and you are on the Voice of Deliverance. We're giving you a revelation, a look and see into the foster care situation, and also, as she said, foster care is a poor parent. It is a poor provider for you. It was supposed to be temporary or just a light help to get you to the next level of family or home, etc. And it has become the parent now in our nation. We want to call in at 1-877-932-9766. Ask a question. The last question I asked was about addiction. It was about what makes us an addict. She said some things that really blew my mind. That, it depends on the person. I would also like to say this. There are some people that doctors have put on, like myself, put on medicine, and I could feel myself leaning into addiction, and I stopped taking the medicine. I didn't want to become an addict. So a whole lot of what we do, and I do really say 100%, but I get a lot of opinions on this. It's based on decision. You make a decision you don't want to take anymore, you don't want to be addicted to a pill, you stop taking it. Or else you don't want to make the decision, you keep taking it. I had a young lady I was dealing with, she said, I got to go to the doctor to get some more pain pills. She's not limping anymore. She's not in pain anymore. What are you going back to the doctor? She's going to get as many pills as she can, as long as she can. She doesn't realize she has become an addict. Am I right? She is dependent on that pill, and she's forgot about the pain. So we are moving right along into this addiction situation, which is, I think it's much greater than what we know. I see people that are on an everyday basis on a job or something like that, taking pills, popping pills all day long. And I'm wondering, where are you hurting? You got a headache? What is the pill for? But it's just like an automatic thing, like you put candy in your mouth. There's too much dependency on chemicals. But once you get a chemical in your body starts leaning toward that, right?
Exactly. But I would have to argue the fact that it's not a choice a lot of times. What it is that you are self-medicating. Okay, I'm no longer limping, but I am in pain. I don't like my life. I don't like what I see in the mirror. I can take this pill and it can take me away from what it is I'm dealing with right now. There's a lot of levels on there. I just thank the Lord that I did what you did once. I had taken some codeine-laced medication that I got from the doctor because I had a really bad sinus infection, and it cleared it up. Well, I got another sinus infection about 6 months later, and when they handed me the same medication, I remembered how that made me feel when I took it. So what I did, this is just crazy. What I did was that I wanted to experience it without anybody interrupting me. So I did it after my son went to bed. I laid back on the couch. I got real comfortable, and I took this medication. It didn't take me there. And then I decided, you know what? This is what an addict does. You know, I actually, look at me. I'm preparing to get high. Not that I was preparing to take medication to clean my sinuses out. I was taking this to prepare to get high. And I got up from that couch and I was like, no, this is not going to happen, not today. So what happened was that the second time I took the medication, it didn't give me the same reaction, which if I had been addicted, would have made me take more of that medication. Right. So each time you take a drug, you have to take a little bit more because you're chasing that high. You never get that same high that you got the first time. And so, you know, I mean, there's a lot of people have different opinions about drugs and alcohol. Even George Bush the Jr., he was an alcoholic, and he said that he decided he didn't want to live that life anymore, and he went to the Lord, and the Lord healed him. And I believe that. But everybody doesn't come to it the same way. I know there have been drug addicts who just cried out to the Lord, and for some reason or another, it doesn't happen for them. And those people need people like us. They need people like Sister Kay over here to work them out into their deliverance. And I don't know why. I don't know why everybody can't be delivered the same way. And I don't know why your child is addicted and you can't do anything about it. You can't fix it. I don't know why.
There is one thing that we have difficulty doing, I find, in society, is being able to see that none of us are alike. Everybody is different. Everybody. And everybody does not have the same background. Our background has a lot to do of what we do as we get older, who we are, how we do things, how we not do things, is based on how you were raised. It's all falling on the parents of the children that bring these children into the world to be responsible to feed into these children. I know my brother was he's passed on now, but he was rotten. They spoiled him, gave him everything, and he was a total alcoholic and a drug addict from a teenager on up. Now, his father was too. You could say it was hereditary. It ran heavily on both sides of our family. But I didn't want to act like that, so I refused to drink anything. But in the meantime, one day, my stepfather, who was very mean to me, he abused me. But in the meantime, my brother came home so drunk, he fell out in the driveway. And my stepfather turned to me and said, "Why is he like he is?" And I was very young, but I said, if you don't put nothing in them, you don't get nothing out. In other words, you got to train up a child in the way that it should go. You put everything you know that will help that child face its life in society. And then if it doesn't, you won't have a bad conscience. You won't have sleepless nights because you've done everything you can do. And the rest is up to that child. That child makes its own choices. We want to stop here and thank you. We got 1 minute left. This time just flew by. I loved your testimony. I didn't know you were going to handle this show the way you did, but you gave a lot of yourself and your experiences. You've had so many more that we're going to have you come back and discuss some other things that I know that you have gone through. And you are not only a drug counselor, but you're an experienced drug counselor. And we like to talk to people that not only have the knowledge, but they also have the experience that makes you powerful. I want to thank you so much. This is Dr. Kay Robinson on the Voice of Deliverance. Thank you so much, Gail. Say goodbye to Columbus and that you will be back.
Goodbye, Columbus. I'll be back.
She's coming back. And we're going to be right here waiting on her because we like to hear all this juicy stuff, don't you? Because we're learning as we go. God bless you and goodbye.
Talktainment Radio Worldwide Sound. Talktainment Radio Worldwide Sound. Talktainmentradio.com. We give you a reason to come. The world's greatest radio. We give you a reason to stay. Radio.